Hello and welcome to the Opening Line Podcast, Episode 5. I'm your host, John Abbey. To the left of me is my co-host, founder of Sharpside Sports, James Abbey. Got a great podcast lined up for you today, but first, on this day in NFL history, James, an NFL team played its first game in 1988. Do you know what franchise that is?
I laid a huge egg last time we did this. Expansion teams.
The NFL is interesting because their expansion teams are kind of gradual.
I know. I was just thinking. Seattle? No?
Not Seattle. Two more guesses.
Okay. Tampa.
Not Tampa. One more guess.
Oh, man. I really thought I got it with Tampa.
That was close.
Carolina.
Not Carolina.
Who was it?
On this date in 1988, the Phoenix Cardinals, played their first game. They lost to the Bengals 21-14. I got one more bonus for you.
Oh my gosh. All right.
On this day in NFL, this is an easy one.
All right,
You
give me a
should get
layup.
this.
Okay.
On this day in NFL history, this quarterback broke the record with his 18th game of 4+ passing touchdown games.
On this date, when? Give me a year.
I didn't write that down. It's 1993 or 1994. Prolific 80s quarterback.
Marino?
Bing, bing, bing.
Okay. All right. Thank
Dan
goodness.
Marino.
So what, I'm 1 for
That
3?
has since been passed, but yes. That's one of the reasons why people consider him.
Whew, monkeys off the back. I finally got one.
You got it. Yeah.
The expansion one, I'm bummed. I really thought I should have known that.
They were not the first Cardinal in the NFL, the St. Louis Cardinals.
I knew that actually. I think there was a Cardinal before that when I was actually doing the deep dive on franchises, yeah, and because I had no clue that Canton was actually the founding meeting where the NFL was formed was actually in Canton, Ohio.
That's right.
And there was a card. I forget what the team was. The NFL is crazy because all of the teams are actually like the founding, like the first teams. Number one, they're companies. It's like CEOs have it to like boost morale of the company. So they put together a football team, I guess, is what they wanted to do. And then also it's like all weird Midwest, like Akron had a team. It's bizarre. But anyways, good question. I should have got it.
That's the real America's pastime, the NFL.
Yeah.
All right, we have a great show lined up for you guys. I'm very excited. It's week 1 of the NFL. We're going to have earnings report, who missed expectations and who met expectations for week 1 of college football.
Yep.
We have market movers, where are the lines going in the NFL and college football. We have a all-out blitz section where I'm going to just give you guys rapid-fire trends for the NFL specifically for week 1. And then we have attacking an angle, what angle we're going to be attacking in the betting market for week 1 of the NFL, and then shoving it. So hope you guys enjoy the podcast. Let's jump in.
And I know we're down and everybody's throwing dirt on us, but if Clemson's a stock, you better buy all you freaking can buy right now.
All right, earnings report. James, who missed expectations this past week in college football?
Well, I'm starting with beat because beat is a little bit more
positive.
Yeah.
All right, who beat the expectations in college football?
My guy, I can never say his name correctly. Tatoria McMillan. Tatoria?
The wide receiver for Arizona.
We have the Arizona's killing us with these names. I finally got Fatita.
They're all Hawaiian.
I know. They're killing us. Anyways, my guy, I'm going to call him T-Mac. That's his nickname. I'm going to call him T-Mac. Absolute animal. We knew he was going to be good because we actually put a bet in on him to lead the Big 12 in receiving yards. So, obviously, a good start there. He went over 3 bills.
Great start.
But look at his advanced numbers. Top PFF grade of the week for wide receivers. No surprise there. 10 catches on 15 targets, 303 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns, 30.1 yards per catch. He had a long of 78 yards. I know it was New Mexico.
It was a busted coverage on the 78.
I know. I saw it. But I know it was New Mexico. I know that obviously that's not an elite stout defense. But the fact that they went out and did what they were supposed to do, and school record at 303 yards. I mean, you're doing what you're supposed to do, and he really showed out. So absolute freak, clearly top 3 wide receiver in the country, if not the best wide receiver in the country. I don't know who would be better than him off the top of my head, but man, great player. I cannot wait to watch this Arizona team. By the way, I mean, it's funny. Both Arizonas, like Cardinals in the NFL, and the Wildcats. Are they the Wildcats?
Yeah, the Wildcats.
And Wildcats. They're just gonna be gun and shoot up and down the field. Like that is like the overstate is Arizona for this year.
I watched that game, and whenever they there was very little stress on the Arizona offense. Let's put it that way. But when they did have stress, like you knew it was going
to him. Yeah, he probably was double coverage every time. I've not looked at like the in depth like PFF how many targets it wasn't
fair.
Yeah,
like watching him against
that's what I'm saying. I wonder if he was like, I haven't looked at like the double coverage stuff, but I'm sure he was doubled every time and still just 303 yards. My miss is kind of a funny one. Then we'll go to you. You can do both yours. Aiden Childs, Michigan State. He told everyone to bet the over. The game was way under, and he went 10 of 24 for $114 and threw 2 interceptions.
He told people to bet on the over?
Yeah, you didn't see that? It was viral.
No, what did he say?
It was in a press conference, and some guy like asked him, "What do you think about the game like for the start the weekend or something like that?" Along the lines of like, "What do you think for this weekend?" And he said, "If you bet the over." And he did that. $114.
Holy, two
picks. So yeah, missed mightily.
Lost some people some money.
I doubt anyone actually took that
seriously.
seriously.
East Lansing.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So those are my beat and my miss. 2 players on very different spectrums.
I like it.
So
for me, I'll start positive as well, and I'll be short with this one just because I feel like it's been talked about a lot.
Okay.
My exceeded expectations is USC, and it's more so like the perception of Southern Cal. They came into that game 4-point underdogs, not a crazy underdogs, but they were expected to lose by Vegas. The public, in terms of bet percentage, a lot of people...
Market clearly wasn't high on them. It didn't even move that much.
Not at all. A lot of people were on LSU, and...
Well, I think a lot of people were on USC, but I'll let you go.
I don't know. I mean, from what the bets which I was looking at from offshores was...
Okay.
It was LSU pretty heavily, 72%.
Okay.
Anyway, getting back onto it, their offense looked good, and they looked physical.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've seen a USC team under Lincoln Riley look physical. And it's just one of those perception games where it's like, all right, you go into a neutral field, you play against the SEC, you show them that you're more physical than the SEC opponent, and you don't make the mistakes down the stretch. And this could just, I'm not going to say they're going to compete in the Big Ten, but they really put themselves on the map to potentially make the playoff, to stay ranked, to be inside the top 10. And they don't look like they were going to take that massive step down from Caleb Williams that they did. So they met expectations. Great win by USC.
Is it best USC defense? Best Lincoln Riley defense?
Maybe it's so early. I mean, it's 4 quarter sample
you don't
size.
You don't want to overreact.
They played the most physical game of Lincoln Riley's USC career.
Okay, I agree with that.
And then my who missed expectations, and Miami doesn't even count as part of Florida. It's like its own little country. The entire state of Florida on Saturday and Sunday and Monday.
It was Monday.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, it was bad.
I mean, you want to talk about rock bottom for both programs. Gainesville, look, Florida, you're not going to be good this year. That was pretty abundant. Based on the win totals, based on all the projections of the SEC, but you still had you were ranked 12 in the composite rating, meaning that's in all of the country, your talent level on the roster was ranked number 12. And all the teams.
Which was surprising to me, but yeah.
Okay? You're playing an in-state rival at home to show the fan base, to show the recruits, to show everyone that, hey, this is a big game. We win this game. We get a little momentum. You beat Stanford.
Oh, yeah.
Stanford, you're 2-0. You have a good you're more optimistic about the season.
Yeah, good base to start.
Exactly. Instead, you get the absolute doors blown off. You make the same mistakes that you made for 2 years already under Billy Napier. Stupid penalties, bad play calling, just dumb mistakes in the red zone, just things that have happened over and over, and you get blown out with a bunch of your recruits there.
Yeah.
You get the NIL money probably more shaky and hesitant than they were prior, which was already on the rocks. And if you fire Napier now, you're going to set your program back another 2 years. So they will fire Napier.
I mean, it's just it's win, you know.
Right, but we'll see when they fire him, but you set your program back big time. And I wasn't even looking for a win there. I'm just talking about just competing against Miami.
I mean, it was a competitive spread too. It wasn't like
2.5.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. It opened 4, it went to 2 in favor of Florida.
Right.
So,
and then that's not even the worst. Then you go to Monday.
yeah, Florida State.
Look, you lose a game in Ireland. First game, it's wonky. You're international, whatever. You come out and you look even worse than you did in Ireland. You can't throw the ball. You can't stop the run. You don't have any answer for a Boston College team who, by all accounts, will be in the middle of the pack, and that's being generous in the ACC.
Florida State just got bullied.
Straight up bullied.
Yeah.
And both of these guys, both of the Gators and the Seminoles seasons are now over.
Yeah.
And you guys missed expectations big time.
Florida's just it's kind of sad, honestly.
It's the first time in probably I don't know how long.
There have been a couple of years where both programs have been down, but
not this not both outside the top 25.
Bad. Yeah. A couple things on Florida just to note to piggyback on how bad what happened. So SP Plus rankings, Bill Connolly does these. They're basically predictive rankings that are not used as a resume builder, but more of predicting outcomes for the future. So UF goes from 23rd overall to 43rd. The defense goes from 41st to 72nd. This isn't all college football too. Like there's 135 teams. Miami barely moved. So it just goes to show that Miami's good, but the market knew that they were going to be good. Florida just stinks. Like that is what really are my main takeaways after seeing that and watching the game. So,
jeez. Well, that is earnings report. Let's jump into market movers, shall we?
Let's go. Yep.
You smell that? What is that?
What?
What's that smell?
A cologne?
No.
Opportunity.
No. Money.
All right, the market movers segment. James, I'm going to give you the floor. Where are the lines moving for college and the NFL?
Okay, I promise I'm going to get good at getting through these because I will get off my soapbox on a couple things. So basically, this is just going to be rapid fire. We're not going to go super deep like we've been going in the past. To kick things off, last week there was 14 games out of 49 that were under 10 points. So I guess quote unquote
10-point spread or less.
Yeah, 10-point spread or less. Like competitive. Now it's 25 out of 49 this week. So we're getting more of litmus tests to see, basically to give you a base on what a team actually is, so to speak. So straight up, we'll go to the biggest one of the week, Texas versus Michigan. The summer line on this one was 3.5, 4.5, depending on what shop you were looking at, like what sports book. Now it's all the way up to 7.5, and I bet it gets up to 8. That was like a box score that Michigan looked worse than the outcome. I watched some of the game back, and it did not reflect the end result. So then we go to Boise State, Oregon. This is another one where the box. Did you watch any of this game?
I didn't, but I saw that Oregon gained close to 500 yards, but they put up 24 points.
I'm glad you said that. This is one of the weirdest games in box scores that I have ever seen. And I look at I love going through box scores and seeing does this represent what the result was? Does this represent what the result was? And this one was just wonky. I'll get to the line first. It opened 18.5. Now it's up 19.5. Not that much. It's all in favor of Oregon. So here we go. So looking at the box score, Oregon had a 5.4 yards per play advantage, which yards per play is a big metric that sharp groups, sharp bettors look at. It's the cat's out the bag. Everyone knows about it now, but it's still, you want to use that as kind of your base handicap for how good the team performed. They had, like you said, almost 500 yards, and they only won by, it was 14-17 in the fourth quarter. It was just crazy. Just a lot of bad fourth down variants, just a nuts box score. So the result was not as good as how Oregon played, is what I'm getting at here. But Boise was another false box score. They gained 9.9 yards per play and had a 5.8 advantage on Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern still scored points. They were moving the ball, but still 5.8 overall yards per play advantage does not represent that end result either, which was an absolute race.
Man, by the way, you hit on that running back.
Oh my gosh, he's incredible. I mean, he's going to be the top running back in the nation. So moving along, another great game, Tennessee versus NC State. I'm so mad. We were together on Sunday, and I'm so mad we didn't bet it or send it out. It opened at 6. Now it's at 8.5. It was at 6 at DraftKings on Sunday morning for a while. Like, it wasn't like one of these things at 3 a.m. after Saturday, they post a line and it moves immediately. Like, it was up at, like, I think, what we say? It was 10 o'clock in the morning we were talking about it? Well,
right,
before you say it, I know 3 groups have already fired at 6.5 and 7.5. It's at 8 now. I bet it goes up more. I bet that line closes closer to 10.
Can we pause and talk about this game for a second?
Sure.
I feel like this is one of those where the entire nation, sports betting nation, is going to be on Tennessee.
I agree. I think sharps and squares alike are going to be on it.
It's going to be because Tennessee, Nico looked great. Tennessee looked great, but they also played UT Chattanooga.
And NC State looked awful.
Terrible against Western Carolina.
They were down.
They were on the ropes
right
early in the third quarter. So I'm projecting. This may be ambitious, but 85 to 90% of the betting tickets are going to be on Tennessee.
I don't really look at splits that much. I don't think it's going to be that high, but I will say, I mean, respected money is coming in. I mean, obviously, if you got it under 7. But if you want to be contrarian, NC State is going to be a good play here. I bet it gets up to 10. I mean, that's if you want to bet NC State, wait. To credit what you said, I guarantee there's going to be more groups, more people who are going to come in and just steam chase.
I think that it's going to be the biggest need for the sports books on Saturday.
I agree with that. I don't doubt that at all.
So if you like riding with the sports books, take NC State.
But that's another, like, don't get me started. Like, me and John hate the fade the public notion. It is so.
But some people love it. So if you want to ride with them, this is the game.
But I'm just saying you're going to lose money. I'm not going to get on a tangent, but don't ever message us fade the public or whatever. Just don't do it. All right, next one is Georgia Southern. I just talked about them versus Nevada. How about Nevada?
Fighting.
Like, literally, they are. If you want to do a beat and miss on expectations, they are like blowing their expectations out of the water. Nevada's taking money, which should not be surprising. I think it's moved 2 points now. I'll check my notes here. But it's mainly all on the box scores and the advanced numbers. Like I said, Georgia Southern, the result was a lot better than what it should have been.
So what's the line on that now?
Let me look. I just had it pulled up. I can pull up my Don's Best here. It is
Should I guess the line?
Yeah, why don't you give me some time here? Let's see.
12.5, Georgia Southern.
No, it's not that high. It's not even close.
7.5.
No, not even close. It opened at -3 Georgia Southern. Now it's almost at pick'em. It's -105.
Holy cow!
Yeah, I'm telling you.
What a readjustment for Nevada.
The market. It's crazy how quick the market.
Holy
That's
moly.
why I love this stuff, because it shows you how fast the market will react to news and power rankings.
I like Georgia Southern there. Holy cow.
I said it when we did the Preston Stone bet. Nevada's one strong suit is pass defense. Their defensive backs are actually quite good. They rank highly in PFF. They rank highly in advanced metrics. So it's an interesting matchup. I would never bet Nevada just because I cannot get behind it. I need to see more than a 2-game sample, but yeah, it's
holy cow.
Yeah, market is getting.
All right,
I told you they blew the doors off expectations.
That's interesting.
All right, Utah USC, Utah State versus USC.
Yeah, I was about to say,
Excuse me.
That ain't for a while,
Market's
buddy.
not buying the letdown spot. They agree with you. The defense is legit. It's actually moved the point off the opener, 27.5 to 28.5. I bet it goes even higher. Respected groups on USC. Again, what John said, like, that defense is, I think it is the best defense. That the Oklahoma team with Kyler Murray, I forget who the defensive studs were on that team, but they were supposed to have
with Venables.
Right. They were supposed to have the best defense. No, I think this is going to end up being the best defense Lincoln Riley's ever had.
We'll see.
And to your point, they're going to be a legit team in the Big Ten. Mississippi State versus Arizona State. Man, there have been the market loves Arizona State. It's moved 2 points off open. They
looked unbelievable in their opener.
Did they?
Yes.
See, I haven't watched any of that.
They looked fantastic.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, granted, there was a dog shit opponent, but
yeah. So
they looked the part. Let's
4.5 to 6.5 in favor of Arizona State.
I
pretty
like that.
Serious volume from some serious people on it.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you.
I would not want to be holding a Mississippi State ticket right now.
No.
Utah versus Baylor, another game that the market strongly disagreed with. The SP Plus and the market hated the Utah result. That was another thing. Like I need to go back and look. They won 49-0.
It was very similar to the Missouri type performance.
And how so?
They had a weird, like they weren't consistently moving the ball in the first half, but they scored points.
Okay.
If that makes sense. They were up 35-0 at halftime, which I mean it's a lot, but it's also like they had some chunk plays that were like, all right.
Okay. Well, that one opened 17.5, -105, Utah. Now it's a market consensus is 14.5. There is a 14 at Bet365. I never play that book, so anyone here. And then this is one where like, okay, one thing that people always message us and it drives me nuts is that like, oh, you think sportsbooks don't know this? Like people think that sportsbooks are like this like all-seeing magical eye that knows literally everything, every piece of information out there. And it's not the case. This is a great example of like how there can be bad openers. Like Tennessee, I think was a bad opener at 6.5. You should have never been under a touchdown. This ECU versus Old Dominion, the total opened at 49. Okay. Both of those teams, when adjusted for plays per minute, are top 5 in tempo. I don't care how bad your offense is or how good your defense is. If you have two teams going against each other who ranked in 1 week top 5 in tempo and plays per minute, that total should never be under 50. It opened at 49 flat. Now it's at 55. So that just goes to show you that it's not these sports books who, sports books knew, like you don't think they know this. No, it's the market knows it. People have bet that up. They said this is a offline. We're going to bet this. The books then take that information from these sharp groups and then move that line accordingly. So, end tangent. But anyways, yes, there's a really sharp guys who are on the over in that one. I don't know if 55 is still a play, if you guys like tailing this stuff. But at 49, man, that was just terrible. That was such a crazy. Suck. We might have to start staying up late to hit these openers. Honestly, 6.5 Tennessee in this one, just what were they thinking? Okay, now we're going to NFL. I'm only going to do 2 games because the market's so efficient. Like, if you miss these line moves in the NFL, like I wouldn't. 1 point
is so much more of a difference in the NFL.
That's actually a good talking point. I know I want to try to get through this, but the difference between the point in college and the point in the NFL is massive. Like 3 in the NFL is huge.
3 to 3.5 in the NFL is massive. Do
like
not,
3, 6, and 7 in the NFL are like the holy grail. Those are the numbers.
If they go through it, then
it's tough.
Look out.
So Houston versus Indy. Houston's on the road. It opened 1.5. Houston being favorite. Now it's at 3.
Yeah.
The market loves Houston. That public and sharp alike. I think we're also. I think there's one move to also do the Richardson like being complete trash.
Man, I got a awesome in the Out Blitz trend section. I got a great trend talking about the Colts.
Okay,
so continue.
Okay, I was just gonna say I think the reaction is not only positive to Houston, but I also feel like it's negative to the Richardson performance we saw, which is like me and you were our semi-Florida fans. Like we knew he was. I think he's bad. I don't know. Like I am plugged into the fantasy just for props and whatnot, and like the fantasy community like loves Richardson. I don't know if it's his upside for running or what it is, but like as far as
Shane Steichen is a great offensive.
He
mind
is.
Too.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. I'm just saying.
I mean, he got Philadelphia to the Super Bowl. You're the one who talks about offensive coordinators all the time.
Yeah.
He was the guy.
But hey. I was right about DJU sucking. I'm calling this one. I think Richardson's going to be terrible this year.
Down year, okay.
All right, next and last game. I felt like I got through that pretty good.
Yeah, you did a great job.
New York Jets versus San Francisco. This surprised me because like the market for as long as Shanahan has been a coach, the market has always loved San Francisco. I mean, the amount of times that it moves towards like if you were to chart how many games move towards San Fran opposed to how many times the market goes like against it is like not even close. It's always, the market is almost always moving with San Fran. This is like the one time where it's not. It opened at 6.5 -105. San Fran, of course, San Fran's at home. Now it's -4. 4 flat.
Stop it.
And it's at
4.
4 -105.
I checked yesterday and it was at 5.
Or 4 -110 at BetMGM as we speak. At BetMGM. At Caesars, and then at Bet Rivers. At 4.5, it's at 4.5 -105 is DraftKings and FanDuel. So the two major legals.
4.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, I have a trivia question for you. I did not know this. This stumped me today. What state do you think has the most operators? So the most sports books?
Colorado.
Legal. No. It's a good guess,
Mississippi.
though. No.
Tennessee.
No. I'll give you one more guess, then it's done. Midwest. I'll give you a hint.
Indiana.
We've been there.
Indiana.
No. Iowa. 16. Iowa has 16 operators.
Jesus, a lot of those corn farmers want to get their
I
bets
guess.
in,
And
huh?
then the second place state is Arizona with 15. Did not know that. Fun facts for everyone out there. But that concludes your market movers.
That's perfect, man. Let's get into the all-out blitz because you ended that perfectly because there's a Colts and a 49ers trend here that I want to talk about. So let's dive in to the all-out blitz.
Another yard.
You blitz all night.
Okay, all out blitz. This is where John's basically going to just do rapid fire on a bunch of trends. And if you subscribe to trends, tail. If you think that these trends are bullshit, like we do our bullshit or legit, fade. Or if you think they're just a non-factor, let us know in the comments. All right, go ahead.
All right, here we go. This is for week 1, okay?
Okay.
Week 1, not really overall, just week 1.
Okay.
Best players and coaches for week 1. Jared Goff of the Detroit Lions is 7-0 ATS in his career in week 1. Lamar Jackson is 12-2 ATS as an underdog. He is currently an underdog to the Kansas City Chiefs. First game of the year, kick off the NFL season, plus 2.5, plus 3 in some places.
I think it's at +3 consensus now. Yeah.
+3. Well, if you like dogs to bark and you like Lamar Jackson, take the Ravens. Top ATS coaches. John Harbaugh, another Ravens trend.
Yeah.
In week 1, this kind of correlates to Lamar Jackson because Lamar Jackson's been an underdog in 2 of his, I believe, 4 seasons in the NFL.
Okay.
12-4 ATS week 1 as a coach. Top overall coach ATS. Do you know who it is?
Week 1?
Just overall. His last 60 or his last 70 games. So basically his entire career.
Well, the Kansas City had a down year, so I'd say down year ATS wise.
One of my favorite teams this year. That's a hint.
Oh, what's his name? Green Bay Packer, GQ.
Facial LaFleur. Matt LaFleur. is
Okay.
53-37 ATS.
Wow.
Dan Campbell as an underdog. Just is this something to note? He's not an underdog for week 1, but Dan Campbell as an underdog. 22-10 his last 32. Moving on. Divisional opponents, okay? Divisional home dogs are 25-13 the last 38 and 17-4 since 2012. There is one divisional home dog game, and that's the Indianapolis Colts. But the Colts are 114-1 ATS in week 1, the last 16 week 1s. So a little bit of a crossfire, and that's why you don't always prescribe to a trend.
Yeah, always. That is a perfect example of when you see the stuff circulating the internet. Just always look on the other side.
Colts are by far and away more than 5 games worse than second. They are the worst ATS by a long shot.
I remember
week
when
1.
they lost. It was like the biggest knockout Survivor week 1. Jacksonville at home they lost.
Correct.
Okay.
Best team ATS week 1 is the Cincinnati Bengals. They're 11-3 ATS their last 14. However, they are having contract issues currently with Jamar Chase. That is something to monitor. But the Bengals usually cover the spread in week 1.
That's got our attention. Hold on. Let me pause right there. Let me see if the market has reacted to like what it thinks of in terms of the contract issues we got going on.
It stayed steady. I checked.
It has stayed. Well,
it has not moved.
Yeah, it moved off of the opener like a while back, but yeah, it stayed at 7.5.
So monitor that situation.
Yeah, it's got our attention.
Moving on to the playoffs. This is trends surrounding teams in the playoffs last year.
All right.
Super Bowl losers are 5-19
seen
ATS
this.
in week 1, last 24. San Francisco 49ers. I'm looking at you guys.
There's no way that's the reason why. I just want to put this out there. If someone's like thinking, oh, put 2 and 2 together, that's why the line moved. There's no way.
Hey.
But that is interesting. I've seen that one. That's like everyone loves posting that one.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Road underdogs that did not make the playoffs are 90-59-3 in week 1. This includes the Panthers, the Cardinals, the Patriots, the Titans, the Raiders, Broncos, and Commanders. But we talked about on our other social media platforms that rookie quarterbacks don't fare well. So
Yep.
you might want to watch out for the Broncos and the Commanders on that one. All right, and this is the last one. This is not week 1, but I found this extremely interesting. and I think that you guys should store this away, put it in the memory bank for later on in the season. International games. Unders were 5-0 last season in international games.
That makes sense.
And they're 24-19 since they started playing international games. And then favorites in its career are 31-1 straight up in international games.
Really?
They take care of business.
I'm surprised that there's been that big of a sample.
Yeah, they started that way back at the
62
London.
games?
No, 40.
I thought you just said 31 and
31-11, so 42.
Oh, I'm sorry. I totally misheard you.
So about 20 years. That makes sense.
Yeah. I will say this too, like, and this can apply to anything betting related. Like, when you look at something, a trend, a metric, an angle, the first thing you should say, like, okay, is this baked in? And if it's baked in, how much of it's baked in? And then go from there.
Which I think, I'll tell you guys this, the one trend that I think is being baked in right now is, and this is probably the only one, is the Super Bowl losers in week 1.
Well,
I feel like that's
everyone's. Well, I mean, you already lost value on it.
I know,
Or,
but that's,
I'm sorry. No, you. Oh, if you're taking the other side, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
If you want to take the Jets, you already lost.
so that's really the only one. There's not a whole lot of. They're not gonna.
I need someone to fact check this for me. But I think someone said this in the Discord, and I didn't look into it, but it stuck in my mind. Just when you're talking about the Ravens in Baltimore,
We got a free Discord, by the way.
Yeah.
A little plug if you guys want to join.
put it in the show notes. But QBs who don't. This is the matchup. I think Lamar Jackson is the only quarterback to not play a single minute of a preseason game and face off against a quarterback who did play in the preseason and win straight up. I think he's the only one. I need to fact check this, but it doesn't bode well for players for QBs who haven't played in the preseason at all versus a QB who has played in the preseason.
I did not get the numbers on that.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but anyways, I just thought that one was interesting.
That includes the Out Blitz. Those are all the trends that I found for week 1 of the NFL. Tail or fade, if you guys so please. We are going to be maybe tailing one. Spoiler alert. In the next segment, attacking an angle. James, let's talk about the angles, or the angle that you are attacking the most in week 1 of the NFL. Could be a team, player, whatever.
Okay.
Let me know.
Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it. That's the great thing about sports. You play to win. And I don't care if you don't have any wins. You go play to win.
All right, angle of attack, attacking an angle, whatever you want it to call it. This is the angle that I'm attacking for week 1. I'm going to that road underdogs that didn't make the playoffs in week 1 are 90, 59, and 3, specifically the Arizona Cardinals. I think the Arizona Cardinals have a team now. Again, I'm not only betting this game because of this trend. I'm betting it based on this trend and also just the style of game I believe that they're going to play. You talked about it earlier in the show. You believe, and I believe, that the state of Arizona, specifically the Arizona Cardinals, are going to have to play in a shootout style game. Their defense is not that great, but they have a lot of good pieces on offense. Marvin Harrison, Trey McBride, Kyler Murray's back allegedly to 100%, and he's going to be what he was in 2020, 2021. So they're going to be able to put up points. And I think that the Bills, with the loss of Diggs, with kind of the change of the offense in terms of like who's going to be playing a key role, they might start off slow. Now they might win the game, but I think it's going to be to the point where Arizona can hang in and cover that touchdown spread.
Yeah.
That's the main one in terms of like any trend or any angle that I want to attack. I want to attack taking an underdog, specifically a road underdog. And I want to take a team that people are either under the radar or low on. A lot of people are low on the Cardinals this year.
Yeah.
And I kind of find that interesting considering, like, did we forget that Kyler Murray was the original guy who got paid? You know, like,
yeah.
He's not he's a top 15 quarterback.
Yeah, I
and he
agree.
can hang around and he can there's just a lot of outs. You have that out on the back door.
Yeah.
You have a straight up win possibility. Then you also have just a tight game possibility.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm rolling with.
I agree.
Week 1.
Market agrees with you too. I think there are sevens out there. Plus 6.5, minus 105 at Caesars. So 6.5 is out there. If it has moved, it's moved in the direction of Arizona. The thing about Arizona, and this will be a nice segue, is the easiest way to win in a major market, NFL, NCAA football, is to be correct when you are off market. So like in John's instance, he's like, everyone has the Cardinals ranked as the worst defense consensusly
in the league.
And if you believe that they're not quite that bad or that the Bills are not going to be quite as good on offense, then you're off market. And if you're correct, it's a good way to cash a bet. So the easiest way to do it, another way to do off market, is to be first when it comes to an injury news or a scheme change. I'm talking too fast. And if you're on the right side of volume with a player prop, you're always on the right side more times than not, right?
Yeah.
Don't we always say that volume's king?
Yeah.
So the angle I'm attacking is Kellen Moore using A.J. Brown more in the slot, more in motion, more in cheat motion than the market is pricing in. Kellen Moore loves putting his alpha wide receiver in the slot. He loves using them in cool designs, whether it's cheat motion, moving them on a linebacker matchup and man-to-man if it's zero defense, just giving them more layup targets. Hit some numbers for you. CeeDee Lamb in 2022, this was not last year when he was the number one overall fantasy player, but the year before that, he had a 52.7 slot percentage usage. He was first in yards per route run that season in the slot. Keenan Allen last year with the Chargers before he got hurt had a 58.2% slot percentage. Allen ranked 10th overall in yards per route run last season, was top 3 in targets before he got hurt. It's been a printing press. I don't think that there is a more obvious choice in taking a wide receiver who is against the market expectations that can exceed them more so than A.J. Brown. His yardage for week 1 is only 60. That's it. Or, I'm sorry, 69 and a half. Okay,
That's a big difference.
Yeah, it is a big difference. But still, 69 and a half seems really low to me. Another thing of worth noting, you know who has been top 5 in tempo in NFL in the last 3 years?
The Philadelphia Eagles.
Exactly. So even if they do slow it down and use more motion pre-snap, which they will, obviously with Kellen Moore being the offensive coordinator, there's going to be plenty of volume for these guys to get catches. And right now, they are slight favorites in a game where they're international against a Green Bay Packer team who like everyone loves, the market loves as well, sharp guys like as well. So there's plenty of outs for game flow to be in your favor. It's like there are a ton of outs, I think.
Yeah, Philadelphia more than likely is not going to blow out
No.
Green Bay in the second game of the year.
They could. I'm actually lower on Green Bay than a lot of people are, but I want to get this point across is that when you're looking at an angle, especially in the NFL, looking at player props, like being off market is not a bad thing. And if you're basing it around a good hypothesis that includes scheme, usage, targets, and you're correct, you're going to hit that bet more likely than not. So try to be first to that. You know, don't wait for the market to price in the edge. If you see that is going to be like people are predicting right now, for example, that Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown are going to get 50% split usage in that alpha wide receiver slot role. I think it's going to be more like 60-40 A.J. Brown, if not higher. So that is my angle, and that's why I'm attacking his yardage probably every week until the market prices it in correctly.
All right, so you're A.J. Brown. I'm the Arizona Cardinals.
There you go.
Good luck, my man.
40,500,000 all in.
Raise all in.
All right, shoving it, pushing your chips all into the table, James.
Or folding.
Yeah,
going all out.
What are you doing?
I'm actually going to be positive on this one. And I think it's because like my life being so PGA invested has been, the PIF has just...
Are you going back to
No,
golf?
I'm not. I'm listening to what I'm going with.
Thank God.
So the PIF has been obviously extremely negative with LIV. When I heard about private equity coming into the NFL, I assumed that they were going to mess it up. I thought that this was going to be an awful thing. I immediately thought sovereign funds owning a team. That's like what hit me. I was like, okay, well, that the sovereign funds are going to be invested into the private equity. Private equity is going to own the team. This equals bad. We're going to get, some type of, I don't know, like a Newcastle United or Manchester City where like oil owns like these franchises. I just did not like the idea. Kudos to Goodell and the owners. They actually pulled it off. I don't know. The big news came out. I think it was Was it last week or the week before about the private? Have you been following this at all? Has this got your attention?
I haven't. No.
Okay. So private equity is now going to be allowed in ownership groups for the NFL. Okay. But the maximum a private equity group can own in the NFL is 10%. The maximum amount that a sovereign fund, whether it's the Saudis or the Norwegian retirement fund, is worth 1.7 trillion. Did you have any idea that they had a sovereign fund worth that much money?
I wish they could run our Social Security
Isn't
system.
that crazy?
Jesus.
I was like, damn, they got 1.7 trillion. Like they're like one of the biggest ones. Anyways,
Good
those sovereign wealth funds can only own up to 7% of a firm if that private equity firm wants to own an NFL franchise. So basically that's like at maximum it can be around 3%. So I say all this because I'm all in on this new restructuring. I think it's good for NFL franchises, get more liquidity. They can do more stadium upgrades, better for the team in general as far as like practice facility and just quality, because a lot of these NFL franchises, these families are poor. Like they don't have all their wealth is tied up into the team, so they don't have the liquidity to actually make improvements on facility.
They ain't poor.
Well, they're not. But I'm saying
back that up.
Yeah, that's true. That was wrong word usage.
Oh my goodness.
But they also don't have the wealth to, and the liquidity, I guess I should say.
They don't have $150 million
Right.
laying around to upgrade something.
To do something,
I got
exactly.
you.
So now the fact that you can inject this private equity money into NFL franchises without it completely taking over, I think is a good thing. So kudos to Goodell, NFL. I actually think they got that right.
All right, I'm going. I mean, you really just surprised me every time with this segment.
I know. I try
Golf, private equity.
Well, because they needed this. Like, do you know how many billionaires are in America?
A lot.
No, it's 150.
That's a lot.
But who is going to be interested in that? I'm saying if you look at the people who are actually in the market to buy these NFL teams, like if you want to do
Who's selling an NFL team?
People are. They need that. These guys.
They're
are
selling
like,
a little bit of it. They ain't selling the
some
whole.
of these families are like the guy's like 89. Like he's
who are you talking about with this?
Chicago, Cincinnati, who is the lowest valuated NFL team. Like there's just not a huge buyer pool. So the NFL needed to restructure something so it's not like just straight up good old boys club, but they needed to do it in the correct way, which I think they did. So that's why.
You educated me. I'm sure you educated a lot of people.
And also, like, sorry, I'm not an investment banker. So if I mess something up along the ways, just let me know.
I'm gonna get back into betting football talk.
Okay. All right.
There's a team that needs to change their name.
Who is it?
Miami Dolphins need to change their name to the Fall or to the September Dolphins.
Okay.
I'm all in on Miami early in the season in the fall. Let me read you these stats from the Mike McDaniel era in the months of September and October.
Okay.
2022, in September, they were 3-1 ATS and straight up, 2-0 at home. In September and October, combined, they were 5-3 ATS and straight up, 3-1 at home. 2023 gets even better. 2023, they're a perfect 3-0 against the spread and straight up in September. September and October combined, they're again 6-2 against the spread and straight up in both of those. 4-0 ATS and straight up at home in 2023. They're averaging over this time period 30 points per game at home and over 28 points per game on the road. I am all, if you want to bet on the Miami Dolphins, do it early in the season.
I like that.
They are a juggernaut. They had the best points per game, best yards per game, and yards per play in the months of September and October in the NFL under the Mike McDaniel era. So, is he going to get them to the Super Bowl? Maybe his, scheme and maybe the defense isn't as good as all these other top tier teams. But man, when they're pumping along in September and October, they are a wagon to bet on. I will be betting on them in September and October.
I remember writing, because I do my DVOA recap every Tuesday. I remember writing, they had at the end of September last year, I'm pretty sure, it's a small sample, but I think they had the best DVOA offensively.
They were averaging 43 points a game.
I think it was like ever. Like they had the highest rating through that ever. So
they dropped a 70 burger on Denver.
On Denver, yeah. I remember that. Because that actually deflated or inflated the Denver lines, like the entire deflated, I guess, if you want to talk about value. It gave value on Denver, basically what I'm saying, pretty much the rest of the season defensively because of that. So,
and that concludes the show. that's what we got. That was a great show. I'm super excited for week 1. I can't wait to.
Me too, and I'm honestly like energized for like this college football week. It's refreshing, like, not to look at the board and see these numbers that have been there forever. You know, it's like the market's more fluid. You got to be able to be early on some games, which if you want to, there's
and you just get to bet big games. Let's just be honest.
Exactly. And then after that, I mean, we got football. The NFL starts on Thursday.
I know.
And then we have
Thursday,
a
Friday. It's unbelievable. I cannot wait to come back and talk to you about it next week. Guys, if you're watching the show on YouTube, what do, James?
Smash the like and subscribe, please.
And if you're listening on Spotify or Google Play or Apple Podcasts, please download it.
All the boomers on Google Play.
Please download it. Give us a rating if you like the show, and leave us a comment on what you liked and what you didn't like. So
good luck this week, guys.
We appreciate it. Enjoy the weekend.